Ah, found me some peace. This is a disused Crazy Golf hatch, and we can see here so the birds are singing, and I've got some shade, and it's time to talk about Mrs. X. Now, on the plane coming over, Mrs. X was talking about the hotel complex and what it had to offer, and she, in passing, very casually, just mentioned that the top floor of our complex is given to nudity. So you can go up there and you can bathe nude. Now, this island of Gran Canaria is renowned for having nudist beaches. And so yesterday when we were walking, we walked several kilometers, and we went down to a sand duney area, which is large sand dunes. And the more we encroached on this region, we started to see kind of like rather proud or camp looking men, just overly casually hanging around. I mean, there's a small fence of wooden poles and then some wire that kind of encourages people not to go in the sand dunes. And I can't help thinking it's because they're going to be doing something they shouldn't really be doing in those sand dunes. Otherwise, it would just be a gay fest down there. But I shouldn't wonder whether that small wire fence is too much of a preventative. And so I was looking around and I've seen unnaturally posing men. And it's like they're all in a gay magazine. And, can you imagine men lying down, kind of like this, with one arm up here, propped up with their elbow, with their schlong hanging down. And then there were others, just kind of like standing kind of like this, with a hand on a post or elbow on a post. And it's just like, it looked like Madame Tussauds. It looked like the Madame Tussauds of pufters. And I went, what the fuck's going on here? And then it looks so prolific. It's kind of like, oh, all right. And when you get these nudist places, and you've got guys, probably mostly with decent sized schlongs, and they're very proud, and they're kind of like, they're all kind of jolly, and when they walk, they're walking exaggerated, so the balls and schlong are fucking flailing around. And I saw a couple, running down to the sea. And so just as this guy runs by, his bollocks and cock are fucking flailing all around. And her tits and arse are wobbling. And I said, why would anyone want to do that? And Mrs. X says, well, it feels very freeing. I'm like, oh yeah. And then I remembered her mentioning very, very briefly the nudist roof. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, each to their own. And so, this morning, I got up early, and I thought I would have a look at the view from the top of the building. And I wasn't expecting anyone to be up there. It was, I don't know, 7:30, something like that. The sun not long risen. And as I just came out of the stairwell onto the roof, I turned around and I noticed that there was four people, um, two women and one guy, and another woman, which turned out to be the yoga instructor. She was facing the three, and the three were facing her, and they were in this like a headstand pose, where you prop yourselves up with your elbows. Hang on, I've got to kill a fly. It's enjoying my legs too much. Where are you? And the thing is, when you put your attention, you got to kill the motherfucker. Then it fucking hides behind a fucking blade of grass or something. But as soon as I look back at the camera and start talking, it'll be back. So I didn't know I thought, what the? And then I realised, oh, they're on yoga mats, and I recognised that yoga pose. But the thing is about this yoga class, it was naked yoga. And I'm kind of like, I stopped in my tracks. I came out and I'm kind of like, and I felt like I was imposing and like very conscious of my clothing. And I stood there and I looked, and it seemed like they all had their eyes closed, because when you're in that pose, it's difficult to keep your eyes open. You get pretty disorientated. So they had their eyes closed, and so none of them actually saw me. And of course, they couldn't turn around to look, even if they heard me coming. But as I was looking at the three of them, with their nakedness and everything revealed, standing, erect on their heads, I recognised Mrs. X's beach bag, and I'm like, no way. And then I was kind of like, didn't really want to look, but there was two women, and like, okay, I think that one probably looked about the stature. Okay, I've seen too much. I've seen Mrs. X's private parts. I'm like, no, that's not supposed to happen. Mrs. X, I never really considered her to have private parts. She's too posh to have private parts. No. And I was in a state of denial. I had to shake my head, and I walked down the stairwell, and I felt a little bit traumatized by the experience, to be fair. And then I thought, I can't tell her. I can't tell her I've been up there. I don't know what she'd say, or I'm like, no, can't do that. And so I won't tell her. But by the way, I can speak more freely like this because she told me that she's taken the whole week off from watching YouTube and the internet. She's got a couple of books that she's going to read, and so therefore she won't be seeing these videos at least till she gets back. And I'm not saying anything which is demeaning or offensive or out of order. I'm just observing, so I don't think she'd be too bothered about it, in view of the fact that the things that we've spoken about a lot of stuff, people. And so in view of the things we've spoken about, then I'm 100% sure that she wouldn't be bothered about what I'm saying here. And so, right, well, okay, I see Mrs. X in a new light now, and I'm thinking, well, by the way, she's married, and she wears a wedding ring, and she's never even spoken about that. It's kind of like, well, we're just coming on holiday as companions. She wanted someone to come with, and so she thought it'd be pleasant for me, and those sort of things. And so it's you stroke my back, and I'll stroke yours, or scratch, whatever. Time to kill. Die. So yeah, I can't speak about the vast majority of things that we speak about. It's vastly too personal. But one thing that struck me when we came to the hotel on the first night and we went to sign in and give our passports, we had to sign something. Sign for the, you know, plastic card key thing that you've had all your stuff and that, and I don't know, I suppose you agree with the terms or whatever. And so when the girl on the reception uh, put a few details on this form and she turned it around and pushed it towards Mrs. X and she placed a blue biro down. Well, Mrs. X uh, pulled her handbag from a Prada handbag from her shoulder and she unzipped it with her polished nails and slender hands and gold watch. And she looked in like this and she delved in and she brought out what was obviously a gold pen. It wasn't plated, I would think it probably solid gold. It was deep and rich and it looked heavy. And with the other hand, she twisted the end of it very slightly, and then out came a protrusion of graphite, you know, like a pencil. And you know, people always used to say, "Oh, the lead in the pencil." It's not lead; it's graphite. And so she gently did that, and then she signed. And the signature was a very flamboyant, flowing, double-barreled name. And the first name was hers, and the second name was her husband. And I'm like, who who has double-barreled names and why? And the only occasions I've ever known people to have double-barreled names is when they've got a name of some significance, a family name of importance, and they don't want to relinquish it. So they will keep their name and they will often hyphen and put the husband's name. And so, hence double barreled. Um, and it turns out that I saw um, on some documents she was looking through when she was flicking through papers on the plane. I saw a heady paper and it said something like, it was the name of a company, and then it said aeronautical engineering. And I'm thinking, well, I wonder if that is heady paper for her family business or husband's business. The name, um, and then aeronautical engineering. And I'm like, well, that sounds sophisticated. You know, for her to have that aeronautical engineering business heady paper in your handbag, well, something's going on, isn't it? And so I don't poke my nose into anything. I just allow her to speak about whatever she wants to speak about because, after all, she's watched me for some time and she has questions and she wants to know what I know about this and what I think about that. And then she also wants to tell me quite a lot about herself, um, but it's vastly too personal for me. I couldn't do that. That would be um, a bridge too far. And I just wonder how much of anything I'm going to be able to really speak about. Because out of each day when we hold so many conversations, uh, I'm like, well, you've all heard what I think, so you don't want to hear that. You'd find it more interesting to hear what she thinks, but um, I most certainly can't say anything specific. But maybe I'll be able to weed something out and compile something of the topics that we're speaking about. Uh, so yeah, um, it's kind of weird. It is weird, and you know, I don't really know how I feel about it. I mean, I'm very free with speaking with people. There's nothing nobody could ask me that I wouldn't freely answer. So I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any comfort zone whereby I'm going to be sprung out of, or I'm going to feel nervous because the conversation's heading in a certain direction. I can speak about everything, um, but I feel a certain diplomacy that if Mrs. X doesn't speak about something, then I won't speak about that, and I don't ask any specific questions. I'm kind of like playing the therapist, really. I say things like, "Well, how do you feel about that?" Or "Why did you broach that subject?" And depending on the length and breadth she wants to elaborate on, then okay, the conversation will go ahead. But if the conversation doesn't go ahead, then I don't pursue it. And I'm doing my classic Awaken Brave. I'm not acting any different. I'm just being me, and I'm using profanity sometimes, as I do. I'm not, all of a sudden, being different um, because I'm with someone who's quite different to me. Because she obviously knows uh, me quite intimately, as you long-term viewers do. I don't hide anything, do I? I don't shy away from anything. So, there's no real format to what we do. It's kind of like, it's not like we're going to meet at this time and we're going to do that and do that. We're doing our own thing, and we'll drop each other a text, and, you know, her room's next to mine. So I go out onto my balcony each morning and have a little meditation or drink my coffee. And if I hear her door, then I'll, peek round, good morning, and then, start chatting and see, well, what time you're going to have for breakfast or something like that. And, depends on whether we've had a shower or not, and this, that, and the other. So, yeah, this is kind of how it is. And at some stage, we're going to spend, at least half a day on our own. Because I said to her today, I said, wow. I said, come away thinking that I'm going to rest my voice and end up talking absolutely incessantly for 8 or 10 hours a day or something like that. And, and even when I'm not talking to her, then I'm making videos, aren't I? I can't stop. I can't stop. And, it does get exhausting, people. So I had about a 40-minute meditation this afternoon, lying on my bed, just to recuperate, just to have some peace. And so I'm going to continue to walk around here and absorb the early evening song of the birds. And it's getting a little bit cool now. There's quite a lot of cloud cover, but in the direct sun, it's still very hot. So I'm just going to walk and observe and enjoy. And what I've noticed here is there's a male blackbird just down there, and the animals seem to be more free. They're just all around. And this morning, when I was speaking with Mrs. X on the balcony, I watched a ring-necked dove walking along the balconies about 40 feet behind, slowly, and it was looking on every table in every apartment to see if there's any crumbs. And then it came right up within 1 meter from Mrs. X. And Mrs. X put her hand out like that, and it was looking, but it saw there was nothing there. And I said to her, if you had actually had food, I'm pretty sure it would have took it out of your hand. So There's that sort of aura with the animals around it. You see those down there? I think they were just copulating. Let's see how near they want to come. Beautiful little ring-necked doves. Yeah, you see, what it is they're so used to getting fed. That's the thing. With the tourists like, oh, look at these beautiful pigeons. And what have we got in the bag? And they've got some snacks in the bag, haven't they? You know, whatever it is, you know, sandwich, cake or biscuits or something. And they'll throw them a few morsels. So that's what they're doing. It's like robins. You know, robins, they're so intuitive. Even if you are out in the most obscure places, away from houses, I've been out in fields and I've just sat down for a bit of a snack. And when a robin sees you eating, it knows what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, it's going to be on the nearest fence post, you know, 1 or 2 meters away, and it's just looking. And then, of course, if you bite a piece off and you throw it down there in front of you, it's straight down on it. Whereas, you know, what other birds would do that? The robin is renowned for doing that, isn't it? So I've asked myself, what is the intelligence level between a robin and, say, like other birds? When robins, they go, there's a human being, and it seems like genetically, morphic resonantly, they're endowed with an information through their genetics that human beings have food, and so they hang around us. Now, another animal that does that are squirrels. Whenever a baby squirrel falls out of its drain, the first thing it's going to do is head for a human being. And this happens all over the world, and you've got so many videos of it. People saying, "Oh, this squirrel, it just came crying to me. It kept following me. It wouldn't go away." And so in the end, I put my hand down, and they crawled up like Providence did. Crawled up and got. She got, you know, purring in my beer and putting her hands like cats do and purring. And she was doing all that, and then she was sniffing in my ear, and then she went under my hair, and she stayed there. And I tried to pull her off, and, you know, she wasn't having it. And so she came home, and she was absolutely comfortable. She was never afraid. It was just absolutely natural. And I'm like, what has happened in evolution to enable that to happen? I mean, the grey squirrel in Britain, I think, was introduced in the early 1800s. So they've not been around that long. So it's not been an evolutionary thing that they've developed through millions of years. Well, the human being hasn't been around for too many millions of years. But they do that, and then they make wonderful house pets. They're so loving, and lots of them. Providence isn't like this. She doesn't like being touched. If I go to tickle her like this, she'll always look to see if I've got something in my hand. You know, is it food? Is it food? Is it food? The only time I really can, you know, kiss her on the head or on the nose, if she's busy eating, you know, like the first nut of the day, and she's, you know, trembling, you know, eating the food, then I can kiss the end of her nose, or I rub my nose on the end of hers, and I'll get her little ears in my lips, and I'll pull them like that. And then I'll give her another look, keep her busy, and then I start preening her back, like, you know, with my lips, because I've watched her kids do that. They, you know, they're, you know, doing the chew on the back of the fur because they can't get that there on their own, you see. So you know, every morning I see her and she comes down to the fence, the first thing I do, I sniff her and greet her like that, and she sniffs my nose, and then she jumps on me, and then she's in my pockets. Um, but but yeah, it's very, very curious why squirrels do that. I don't know any other animal which is going to make a beeline for a human being with such confidence that they're going to be safe, and they're simply not afraid in any shape or form. And then lots of these squirrels, they don't want to leave the house. Once they've got their nuts on tap and they're having a jolly good time, they'll go out for a little bit, but then they come back into the home and they don't want to leave the home. So yes, people, weird stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and just chill out for a while.